Hey guys, Scott Fishman here with a great guest heading into the next chapter of MLW Fusion. First time in 3 years, we're getting a weekly show from MLW Fusion. And who better to talk about it than someone who's going to be on that episode? Trevor Lee, how are you doing?
Doing good, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so talk about just what's the level of excitement for you, knowing that this show is back on a weekly basis. I know MLW's been delivering some really great shows, those big monthly shows, but there's just something about having that weekly kind of episodic type of storytelling. What does that mean to you and the rest of the locker room, you'd say?
I think it's very exciting. Like you said, this Friday is our first 2 hour episode in 3 years. So that's big because a lot of the fans have been wondering, where this MLW content is because, they've been seeing that MLW is still running shows so that you can still go to the live shows. They've been seeing that, but they've been wanting that digital footprint. They've been wanting, like you said, the storylines to be able to follow along with. So it's very exciting that we have that now. We have enough content backlog that we can get it going now, and we can have weeks of stuff to be able to put out. And this first episode's going to be a lot of fun. For me, for instance, I have a first time matchup against Austin Aries. Pretty excited about that. Austin Aries, we've seen for a very long time just how good he is. Is my connectivity okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was just making sure I wasn't lagging out on you or anything. Uh, Sorry about that. But yeah, no, everybody in the locker room is super excited about this because not only me, there's a bunch of other first time matchups as well on this first episode. So it's very exciting to see.
I think for fans, I think I seeing that match between you two, I could attest that it's a really good match. I think you both stand out. Feel like you're at a point where I want to say you have something to prove, but you're both veterans. But at this stage of the game, maybe people haven't seen you in a while, so maybe this is a chance for new viewers that haven't seen you in a while, maybe haven't even checked out MLW before, to kind of see you both in different environments. Talk about just what it was like to work with Austin Aries. I think one of the good things about having options like MLW, it's you're getting these matches that you may have not even thought about before, and then you're seeing it deliver. And when two guys like yourselves have that in-ring chemistry, it just really shines through. And I think that was one of the standout matches of that taping that I was at, was between you two. So talk about just what it was like to work with him and kind of see him working up the ranks just like you did when it comes to the independents.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, and like you said, MLW is a great place for people that you may have not seen in a while and people that you've never seen before at all, right? Like MLW also is signing a lot of talent that you may have only seen on the independents, but you never seen on that bigger scale that MLW is going to be able to give them that platform for. People like Diego Hill, for instance, an up and coming talent that is doing very well in the MLW scene that a lot of people are going to be able to see now in this. But as you're saying, like when it comes to me and Austin Aries, I remember around 2008 when I was a kid, starting to get into watching more, Ring of Honor, more stuff like that. Austin Aries was one of those guys that was a prime in that time, and then you watch his career all the way through TNA and up into WWE. He was always a top guy, and he always had great matches. So, I always looked up to him. I always wanted to wrestle him. So for MLW to be able to give me that opportunity was awesome. And like you said, you got to already see the match. No spoilers, but you said you enjoyed it, so I hope everybody else gets to enjoy it as well this weekend.
Yeah, no doubt. It's been about 2 years since WWE, your time with WWE ended. How do you look at it with today's lens and everything that's happened since then?
Yeah, 2 years is a lot of time, right? To be able to kind of digest everything, process everything, and kind of move on with everything. Now here we are in 2026, and I'm excited for where I'm at. I'm excited for MLW. I'm excited for the process that they're going through right now. Because not only are we doing this YouTube stuff, but we're also doing international tours with CMLL. We have a partnership with Stardom just announced, and more partnerships in the process. So it's very exciting just to see where MLW is going, not only just on the YouTube sphere.
Going by your timeline of when your wife had posted about you guys expecting a child, first time dad, how do you look at wrestling now, as a parent? Now you have this other mouth to feed and you have a new perspective. When you're leaving to go on the road and you're busy working, you have, a family at home, a full family at home. Talk about what that transition has been like? I know it's just, newborn, but now and what you're kind of looking at moving forward in your career.
Right. It definitely changes things right now because now I'm leaving and I feel like, I was always leaving my wife behind, but she's a grown woman, right? Like she could take care of herself. But now I'm leaving her and my newborn daughter behind. And now, that's a bigger workload that gets put onto my wife. That's tough, right? So, those are the type of things that you think about now when I'm out, in wrestling gear, wrestling guys, right? But that's okay because that's what's got us this beautiful future. That's what has led me to this point to be able to feel like, what, now I'm good to be a father. Now I have a safety net where I feel like I can actually raise someone into this world. So, it's a little bit of both. Like it sucks to leave, but it's also great knowing that I have the ability to be able to do that now. And it does. It gives you something a little bit more to fight for. It's not so much like I used to feel like I did wrestling as a very selfish endeavor, right? It was always very for me, but now it's not. And it's cool to be able to go into that next chapter of my career and be able to do it for a new fan.
Yeah, I think we're at a time too where you can show like it's the days are gone almost when it comes to like being on the road for 300 days a year, and then you can find that balance. Is there anyone you kind of look at that has made that transition to parenthood and wrestler that now that they found out, okay, you're going to be a parent too? Like anyone, I know Matt Hardy is one that he's managed this all these years, and it seems like every year
Right.
he was having a kid. And then, it seems like they have this great family. I mean, talk about just a little bit about that.
Yeah, so one of my best friends in the business is Joaquin Wild. He currently still works for WWE, but he really inspired me. He has a 5-year-old daughter right now, and watching that whole process go from him being the guy that just played the DJ horn to being a great dad was just truly incredible to watch. And it's kind of funny because what I'm kind of learning is a lot of the wrestlers, apparently there's a curse that if you're a wrestler that you end up having your first child is a daughter, and it's a great curse to have. So I've seen a lot of my peers now, be little suckers, and it's cool to watch that process, and now I get completely where they're coming from.
What's your
Yeah.
daughter's name?
Aubrey.
Aubrey. That's a great name.
Yeah. Yeah.
How was there a point, it's easy to get in your own thoughts and, when something happens when you're getting released from what you would consider a dream job and then you gotta have to move on. But so many have kind of done that. How did you kind of weather that? I mean, was there points where you were like, okay, maybe I need to pick up a new career choice? I mean, or you kind of your passion for wrestling just kind of kept you going?
Yeah, it is. It's hard to lose things, right? And unfortunately, uh, if you go back and do the history, I've lost a lot in my life, but that's kind of what's kind of made me the person that I am today, right? Like it unfortunately has made me tougher. When I was very young, I had a brother and sister that passed away. That was one of my first kind of traumas in life, and like I didn't really know how to handle it as a kid, and it led to rage. It led to me like having this rage where I would get in fights into school, and I didn't really know why or how to control that rage. But then professional wrestling helped me like contain that monster, that little demon that I was, and from that point on, like it always came back to that. Like wrestling would help that. Wrestling would help get me better. So it did suck to lose my dream job, but the best part about professional wrestling is that there's not just one company to wrestle for now, right? Like you can continue to do this and you can continue to do this on a great level without being at WWE. So it was very interesting to, fight that battle, to fight that sadness, right? But I'm glad to be back where I'm at today. I'm glad to be, performing for MLW. I'm glad to be on the first episode of the 3-year wait of MLW. And I'm glad to be on a match that I think people are going to be pretty excited to see in that.
what's your thoughts on the overall landscape of wrestling compared to when you were starting out and you had those early days of TNA and then seeing in WWE, seeing things that have been happening here where it's kind of more becoming more corporate by the day, it seems. And then do you have the options like an MLW thanks to the accessibility? Like now we're being able to watch this on YouTube in addition to being sports. They're able to put on pay-per-views and they'll get the views and the viewership. I mean, how is it for you to be in this business compared to when you were starting out? I mean, how would you come because you're working with a lot of young talent too at this stage of the game, so just kind of interested to get your perspective on things.
Right. It is definitely very different when it comes to just content in general, right? Like, for instance, when I think it was probably 2008 when I first started watching Ring of Honor tapes, for instance, and it was because I had such a close connection to highspots.com in North Carolina that I was able to get these DVDs in hand and be able to watch them on a portable DVD player, right? Like that's how I was watching these things. And now you can literally just go to YouTube that's free and find anything. Like back then, like on YouTube, it would be just like top 10 moves of Super Dragon or top 10 moves of Brian Danielson. But now you can have entire shows, entire catalogs of content of these of everything on just that one platform. So it's definitely a lot different that way. And then that does help your newer talent because it's hard when back then when you're just trade stuff like that. Like as a young kid, it's hard to get on one of those tapes to where then someone does see you because you know what I mean? You have to grind your way to get to that. You have to go set up the ring. You have to go set up the guardrails. You got to go do all that stuff and then hope that you get a 2 second match, right? With whoever the guy may be. And then maybe you hope that that guy's nice enough to let you showcase your talent as well. And then you continue to do this process over and over and over. But now we have the ability to just scroll on X and see a GIF and go, wow, who is this guy? Like, and it's that quick and it's that instant, and you could see the views just like that. And it's incredible, but it's also kind of I don't know. It depends, right? It depends on how you look at it. It can be great, or it can be like a one-hit wonder type situation as well. You know?
Yeah. What's the vibe you kind of been getting working under court? Someone who's so creative and thinks outside the box a lot of times. You made a decision to commit yourself to MLW earlier this year. Talk about that decision and why you believe so much into what the vision is being seen here and kind of where you see it taking place. A lot of talk about, oh, are we going to get this big television deal or moving into these cool venues? I mean, talk a little bit about what you feel and what you've seen and felt and your kind of thought process and committing to
Yeah.
this company.
So the Orlando show was the first show this year, right in January. And I had wrestled for MLW in New York, but anybody that runs that venue in New York, it's always got a good production, right? It always seems like there's a lot of production going on. So in the Orlando venue was the first time that I got to see it outside of a building that I knew already had a good production set up, right? Because you can rent a building and I assume rent a production team. Like I feel like that's easy, right? But to see it in a different venue in a different state, it's like, oh, okay, now there's, you know what I mean? It wasn't just a one hit wonder, right? Like now this is carrying over. And then it was awesome to see like just how calm and everything the atmosphere was as well. Because like you said, it is very corporate now. Like every business is moving into a very corporate structure. And that is okay, right? Like that's how you maximize profits. Like that's how you do all that stuff. That's how you go, to the moon, if you will. But uh but at the same time, this is still professional wrestling, right? So like this still is just like rugged carnival stuff, right? So like MLW has that good mix where it's, I mean, there's a lot of good talent in there. Like, for instance, Austin Aries, Donovan Dijak, Bishop Dyer, like Matthew Riddle, guys that have been all over, right? So why micromanage these guys when they've gotten themselves to this point, right? So like let us kind of be the talent that we think we are and that we are, and let us help kind of create as well and have this as a group process and then see what we can all do together. And MLW's done that very well.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Someone who's watched from the very beginning, it's very cool to kind of see this next evolution. And that comes May 30th, 6:05. I love that. I was a big WCW fan. Loved the Saturday night show. So this is kind of a nice throwback to that, a nice nod to that. And if you can't make that, of course, there's a late night 10 p.m. on beIN Sports. So a lot of accessibility when it comes to MLW Fusion. Trevor, anything else that you want to let fans know about that you're working on or to follow you?
No, just like give us a shot. Check out this first MLW taping, and then this first one's going to be on Friday at 6:05, and then every week afterwards it's going to be
Right. Sorry.
it's going to be a Saturday. So a little bit of confusion there, but that's okay because I think once you watch that first episode, you'll be able to know I need to tune back in on this. All you got to do is as well subscribe to the Major League Wrestling channel, and then it doesn't matter what day it goes, it'll notify you when it's there.
Yeah. I mean, I may still wait. I don't know. I know, appointment television, but just to get the vibe,
Oh,
I
for
might go
sure, for
pick up
sure.
some pizza, some Coke or whatever back in the day, candy,
Yeah,
and
there you
kind of
go.
just have a throwback night. So
That's always fun.
thank
Yeah.
you, Trevor, for the time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me.